Hey, my mammals, welcome back to part 2 of this dive into Dougal Dixon's work. Or rather, just the speculative evolution trilogy of books. I'm not actually covering his entire library of work because it's in the hundreds. In part 1, I covered Dixon's two other books, The New Dinosaurs, absolute banger, and After Men, an absolute banger. In this video, we are going to explore the third entry in the trilogy, the third one and final book, Man After Man. Not to be confused with just After Man. That one only has one man, this one has two men, Man After Man instead of just After Man. Got it? Good. You don't need necessarily to watch part 1 to understand part 2, but it does give you a little bit of context on Dixon's work and how he goes about creating these animals. And most importantly, I spent quite a little bit of time making that one, so go watch it. Make me smile. Man After Man is all about how humans and human-machine hybrids could evolve and continue to evolve in a world past extreme climate changes. No, I'm not joking. I'm dead ass. This book, as I mentioned in the previous video, was only printed once, making it a very sought-after treasure from the distant time of 1990. In other words, it is a little bit too over budget, nearly $300 over budget. So, no luck there. However, I found a way to get it. I legally acquired a PDF of the whole book, legally. This book is the real Hood classic, illustrated by Philip Hood. This book is the only one in the series that was not illustrated by Desmond Morris. This book too starts with a brief contextualization, talking about genetics, cell division, mostly subjects we already covered on the other two books, and he tends to mention in every single book, in different words. So he wrote the same thing multiple times. Maybe back then there wasn't Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, maybe. He also explains in fair detail the human story so far. Natural selection has failed us. Starting the story of humanity 8 million years ago, all the way to pretty much modern day, 100 years ago. Unlike the previous books, he does not dwell too much on this, because he expects, as a human, you probably know where you came from. Now jumping into the main event. The Man After Man. And no, your screen did not shut down, that's actually in the book. The book is mainly divided in eras, 13 of them to be exact, starting with 200 years hence, where we get to meet the Aquamorph, a fish-like and frog-like human descendant adapted to marine environments. He has a tool belt for some reason, and he kinda reminds me of Jabba the Hutt. And we also get illustrations of different emotions he might express. And together with the Aquamorph, we also meet the Vacuumorph, Homo caelestis, a human descendant adapted to survive in the vacuum of space, with no air and in a state of freefall. Perpetuous freefall. But wait a bit, I know what you're thinking. 200 years is not nearly enough time for a species to evolve so drastically like this. And you would be right. This takes in consideration an aspect that most of us would probably not even think about: human insanity. Most of these specimens, as well as most of the other human descendants we're about to witness, are genetic manipulations. Humans would experiment genetically and surgically in other humans to create the perfect tool for marine and space exploration. A little bit of context. Due to the drastic climate changes on Earth, to survive humans had to be taken to space stations orbiting around the now pretty much destroyed Earth. But not everyone would get this treatment. Most of humanity would be left off to fend off on Earth. Only the most genetically perfect individual. Oof. Also, jokes aside, keep the Gymas or Yimas smooth in the back of your mind. He will come up again. 300 years in the future. High-tech, or he-tech, I think it's high-tech. Homo sapiens macchiadamentum. Anthony Mackie. Homo machinadamentum. Try to say that word faster than me. Humans answer to the weakness of my flesh. And I quote, "As long as the brain functions, it is worth keeping it alive." even when the body has deteriorated. A mechanical body with only the human head left as the only organic component. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Socrates. I know the illustration is meant to be freaky. This looks so much like one of those old 2008 Star Wars The Clone Wars Lego minifigs. But what about the humans who got left on Earth? Well, as long as there is life, there's hope, I suppose. 500 years hence. Around this time, the surviving humans have started to thrive again in small populations of hunter-gatherers. With pollution and destruction of ecosystems coming to a stop, Earth has started to heal and started being more habitable again. However, the outside world humans, now being called in the book genetic engineers, started doing their usual shenanigans. Because of the death of most of life on Earth, they started repopulating Earth with animals of their own design, using human genes as the basis. So now we got the Plains Dweller, Homo Campus Fabricatus, Forest Dweller, Homo Silvis Fabricatus, Temperate Woodland Dweller, Homo Virgulis Fabricatus. Human-based creatures engineered to survive and repopulate their respective habitats without external help from their creators. Now 1,000 years hence, we have the tick. Homo sapiens accessiomembrum. Try to say that 3 times fast. A human-made horror created to store and keep organs alive for layer replacement by grafting them onto it. It is around this time that the Earth starts to cool off a little bit and enters another ice age. Jumping now to 2,000 years hence, we meet the Tundra Dweller, or rather Homo Glacis Fabricatus. You might notice that all of the animals that are directly engineered by the genetic engineers are called Fabricatus, because they were fabricated. Haha. During the harsh cold era, some of these human-based creatures were left with no access to vegetation, but they do share our omnivorous digestive system, so it's kill time.
Yeah, boy.
And although they are very closely related as human descendants, they don't really see each other as the same species and start forming prey-hunter relations. These creatures do share human traits and disturbingly human faces. They don't really have human-level intellect. They are normal animals. Around this time we also meet the aquatic, just called aquatic, or Piscanthropus submarines. Developed a few centuries ago, slightly after the aquamorph, as a refined version of the aquamorph. I don't know why, because the aquamorph is the face of perfection already, but it's whatever. Jumping to 5,000 years hence. The last humans in the book referred as the genetic engineers are now gone, unable to protect their creations. Up to this point they would only interact to make sure they didn't die, but now that they are gone, these animals are left to fend off and evolve in their own ways. Some by developing what later would become interspecies relationships, and others interspecific relationships. And others, of course, adapted by dying. An OG strategy, but still works. Now jumping to 10,000 years hence, to see where all of this is leading to. We see now symbiotic relationships, where the Tundra Dweller protects the Woodland Dweller from the harsh climate. In return, the Woodland Dweller helps them with hunting and tracking prey. However, 50,000 years hence, the Ice Age comes to a stop. With the ice melting, some parts of the world became submerged, isolating some of these species in island formations where they would remain in isolation for the foreseeable future. Aquatics started traveling in schools like fish, rather than in small groups or even alone. And, allegedly according to the book, even more perfectly adapted to their sea-going existence. I don't know why they keep dunking on the aquamorph, but I feel personally attacked. To 500,000 years hence, social structures started to form in the Plains Dweller community. Adult males do the hunting and protect the group. Juvenile males do most of the food gathering. Only one female is allowed to breed, while the rest of them have to take care of the young and looking after Big Mama. Around this time, some of the species isolated in the islands started developing the ability to make tools and boats. Oh boy, they are evolving. giving us the creatively named boat people, Homo mensprovodorum. And the aquatics are now able to come onto land by carrying salt water within a bubble of gel formed around their body. The aquamorph could breathe air. You need to bring the water with you now. Now jumping 1 million years in the future, the aquatics have become prey to the boat people. And the woodland dweller and tundra dweller's connection has become so advanced, it has been simplified as a telepathic link. Okay, now that's fine. That's totally fine. Telepathic links now. Jumping out 2 million years hence, the plain dwellers, now just called socials, have adapted to the rising temperatures by building hives, structures in the desert serving as a shelter from the harsh climate, now named hivers. Yeah, they are now called hivers. In the warm islands, the isolated tundra dwellers have lost their fur, but they are still producing the extra layers of fat that used to keep them warm. But that's perfectly okay, because the newly discovered Nananthropus parasitus is there to suck it all up. Ozempic man. Now 3 million years hence, some woodland dwellers have evolved to better fit a coastal lifestyle, becoming known as fish eaters. And tree dwellers have evolved Big Finger to help them with better grip. There are jokes here that I could make, but I won't. We see the appearance of the Ant-Man, specialized in eating ants. He also evolved Big Finger. There are jokes here that I could make, but I won't. We also see the appearance of the Desert Runner, descendant of the hivers and specialized in desert living without the hive. And the Spike Tooth, fucking Zoinksmite. We also see the Slothman, double chunk chocolate chip cookie. How many booms does this guy get? And finally, we reach the final chapter, 5 million years hence. The genetic engineers have returned with the second phase of genetic engineering. We see where human depravity really took our species towards. These do not have scientific names, these are just straight up tools. The engineered pack animals, I have no idea what their function is. We see the engineered food creature. This creature was created to more efficiently create food for their creators. And of course we have the introduction to the face in the cover, the James Smoot's descendant. Remember James? Yeah, this is his descendant. According to the book, this is how humans could look like in about 5 million years. If you think you're chopped now, think again in about 5 million years. Calling this thing chopped, it's a compliment. This is one single organism. I thought it was one mounting the other. It really isn't. I bet you didn't think he was that small. Or maybe he is not small. He is actually probably quite big. The rest of things are just ginormous. Ginormous. And he is actually the last one presented in the book. We have reached the end. And there you have it. Dougal Dixon's Speculative Evolution trilogy. This one is really fun. This one is very fun, and this one is very disturbing. But the three of them do open windows into this world of speculative zoology that I think it's very interesting. All the science behind, not counting so much Man After Man, because Man After Man is straight up a horror book, but mostly these two open a very cool window into speculative evolution in nature, not so much in humans, that I find fascinating. All the science used to conceptualize these books is very fun. The way he explains how these animals would evolve, where they came from, where their ecological niches are, is very interesting. However, Man After Man is not quite the same. It's not so scientific. It's more like, I wonder if this was a thing and let's go with it. While these take in actual consideration what the world actually is and how evolution and science actually works to craft plausible and scientifically plausible animals that could actually exist. They don't, but scientifically they could. That's pretty much all I had to say about these three books. And with nothing else to say, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.